Welcome to the channel, guys. If you're new here, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. Now in today's video I'm going to be doing the full review of this Escapement Time watch. If you just saw the picture in the thumbnail and thought that's a nice looking watch, it's only £60, how good can it be? You're going to find that out in this video. I'm also going to be teaching you all about Escapement Time as a brand, as a company. Some very interesting little bits of information there. A little bit of information as well about the Quartz movement. It's not your standard quartz that you would normally expect with the individual ticks. It's actually ticks like the old 2 Hertz manual wind movements from decades ago. It actually has 4 ticks per second, so it's an unusual and quirky feature. So it's got a little bit of a vintage feel to it, yet the reliability of timekeeping and ease of use as a quartz. So it's an interesting trend and an interesting change from what we're all very much spoiled with mechanical watches out there. So can we change our minds a little bit and get something that's still interesting with a quartz movement? Well, I think you're going to be impressed with this watch. And I said to myself, if my first experience with an Escapement Time watch and the buying experience and all that kind of stuff, which I'll run through, if that was positive, I'd buy another one. And guess what? I did buy another one, and another one is on the way. So expect another Escapement Time watch review in the near future too. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this review. So Escapement Time, I didn't know much about them, and I'm surprised anyone's really heard of them very much, other than things cropping up on YouTube from reviewers such as ourselves. And it's difficult to pick out all the good little companies that are out there without giving them a go, having a try, buying their products and just having a closer look. And that's where I like to feel like I can step in and help, and we can pluck out these little gems that are out there really and share them with you guys, so you can spend your hard-earned money on something you're going to be really proud of and be impressed with. So I thought I'll give Escapement Time a go, and I got in touch with Escapement Time, asked some questions. So I did some digging first on forums, did a lot of research to find out as much as I could. It's really hard to get any clear information about this tiny little company. That's because it's a one-man band. Every watch made by Escapement Time is hand assembled by one person. That was fascinating. I loved that. So if you've got an Escapement Time now and you didn't know it already, that was assembled by hand by one person. Same person who made this watch. Same person who's made every other watch, from what I understand that this person told me. He does this as a hobby. He does have other jobs. So as we're chatting, he said, "Oh, I'm not making watches for a few days because I've got to go and do a few other jobs." He said diving. I don't think he's a deep sea diver. I think he meant driving. Translation isn't great, but I got the gist. He has other jobs, as do many people that have side hustles. And this is his successful side hustle. He's obviously an extremely talented hobbyist. He sold on Taobao about 16 years ago is when it all started, and then 10 years ago transferred onto AliExpress, where he's got his one and only store. The only place you can get Escapement Time watches is the Escapement Time official store on AliExpress. And he hasn't got a huge range of things, and obviously that's because one person putting all these things together, one interesting range of watches. So that's the history of Escapement Time. And I've obviously been in touch with him asking more questions about the piece. It's difficult to get a huge amount of information, but the thing that obviously is this watch is paying homage to is a King Seiko. Actually, a lot of people were correctly and incorrectly sort of swaying towards Seiko, Grand Seiko, things like that. But there was a King Seiko, which is kind of the step up from your regular Seiko or Seiko Presage that we have nowadays. It's kind of ever so slightly just under Grand Seiko. And the way King Seiko work is you've got one group of technicians and master crafts people making Grand Seikos, and in another place, literally around the corner, in another room or another part of the factory, Seiko make all their watches. They've got another group of extremely specialist watchmakers, and they make King Seikos. So there's in-house competition. And the King Seiko that this watch is paying homage to from the 70s had this case design. It had a high beat movement, it had a 28,800 high beat movement. And you can get them now. I mean, they're varying price. You can get them, they're over £1,000. You can get them scruffy air condition under $1,000 or pounds, you know, things like that. So you're getting a watch which is paying homage to something which is a little bit more special. And this watch is £60. So you're going to see as this video rolls out, you've got a bit of a history behind the watch, who made it. This watch has got to speak volumes in terms of its fit and finish, really, because that's what made King Seikos and Grand Seikos stand out from the crowd. And as you can see, another little difference, obviously, apart from this having no date or day complication like the King Seiko did, this has a more clean dial. It has the Dauphine hands that you would normally see on a Grand Seiko, the flat finish with the very slightly chamfered edges. It's got a lovely little hybrid of design here, in a more contemporary modern size, just under 40mm case size. But we'll go into detail. We'll move on to that when we discuss the stats and the specs. So the stats and the specs. Let's start with some dimensions so you guys get an idea of what size is this watch? How's it going to work for you? So the case size is actually just under 40. The height of the watch is less than 10, so 9.9. The crown is 5.9, but you won't be using that much because it's a quartz. Once you set the time on this, you pretty much leave it. The lug to lug of this watch, so the length is 46.5. And then we've got lug width of 20 for a nice easy strap change. And this comes with nice padded, very soft leather actually, strap. Could be worse. I mean, for a £60 watch, it's quite impressive. But I just don't like the design on there. So I will be swapping that out. And you'll see that a bit later on when I do my outdoor shots. And we've got 316L stainless case. And we've got sapphire crystal, which I'll verify now. So we have the diamond selector. Let's see if this is the sapphire it states it has. Clearly it does. Actually catches the light nicely around the edges. So we've got the edges of the sapphire polished up beautifully, because you could have that frosted or not have a nice bit of detailing around the edge, but it's got a lovely finish to this edge of the sapphire, and a signed crown as well, which is really nice. So overall, for your money, you're getting an interesting piece already. So the next interesting bit, which I'll discuss now, is how good is the movement in this watch? It is a quartz, but as you've seen, there's something different about this quartz movement, and many of you will know about it, but for those of you who don't, I will enlighten you. So let's see if this has got a good movement. Hang on a minute. Watch-related humour, we're so funny, aren't we? That's how sad I am. This has a quartz movement. It says it on the dial. It's actually part of the VH series. There's a VK series as well. We see it in the Pagani design. That's a Mecha Quartz. And what Seiko Mecha Quartz or VH movements do, they have a little bit of an interesting twist to them compared to your usual quartz. Usual quartzes, as you know, they tick once per second. And there's also a little bit of a wobble or a stutter, or they don't always line up with the markers because of the torque of the movement relation to the second hand it's trying to work. Without getting too boring about quartz movements, it's unusual to have something that ticks more than just once for every second. And what we've got here is something that ticks 4 times a second, as you can see here. And that is actually very similar to, not the original King Seiko, because that was a high beat movement, but to watches of old. Watches from days gone by, where they had only a 2 hertz movement. They'd plod along and do 4 beats a second. Whereas nowadays we're used to pretty much everything is either a 3 hertz, 6 beats a second, or high beat with 8 beats a second, and they're 4 hertz. So this is half the amount of ticks per second you would get. But this is different because this isn't an automatic movement. It doesn't work the same way. As you know, it's got a piece of quartz in there that's vibrating at a very high frequency and powered by a battery. And it's a good little movement. I mean, you're going to have to change battery, every 2 years. It's got 2 joules. It's very cheap to buy. But the benefit is it adds a little bit of character to a watch because it's allowing it to have what looks like a mechanical ticking sweep. So that's very interesting. Now, I really rate this watch. £60, £70 all in, including delivery and tax, which I had on before it's even shipped over here in the UK. £60 as a base price is amazing. I love the backstory to this watch, knowing that it's built by a hobbyist, effectively, who has only one store. It's all assembled by one person. And a key feature I didn't mention in the specification segment is look at this blue seconds hand. This has actually been blued by heat treatment. That's something you don't normally see at this price point, definitely. And I know for a fact, I checked with the guy who made these watches, that is the case, and it has been done the traditional way. The seconds hand's been blued, and that's just cool. And look at these hands. They are so crisp. They're like little razor blades, just like the Grand Seiko hands. Dauphine, but flat, chamfered edges, really close up. I'll pop up random macro shots as best I can. Having a go at macro. It's not very good, but it's worth you seeing the best I can offer you at the moment. But it's got a very, very nice little soft texture to the dial, very crisp printing of the text. Nice, gorgeous, very high polish applied indices. And the case polishing is perfect. There's no imperfections anywhere. As you can see, it's almost black. It's so deep, the polishing. It's so well done. And even get the signed crown and the beautiful case back. The brushing is very smooth. It's a very elegant watch. If you like this case design, of course, you're going to like the watch. But if it's not for you, you can appreciate the other details. The fact you do get all the polished aspects done so well. Plays with the light beautifully, as you saw from the outdoor shots. And it's got an interesting little 4 ticks a second quartz movement in there. So you've got accurate timekeeping, got a vintage look and vintage feel, even though it is quartz movement. It's going to be reliable and accurate. What would I change? I think the lugs could curve a bit better down, but again, that would detract from the design that it's paying homage to. And it could do with being maybe a 38, because the original was a 36.5 and this is 39.5. I think if we crept down a mil or two, it would be a little bit closer to the watch that this is paying homage to, that King Seiko. I can't really fault it other than that. I'm very happy at this price point. I don't mind quartz. I'm happy with that. I know some people have issues with it, but I appreciate this for all its other strengths. It's slim, very interesting, elegant design of case that's been beautifully finished. And it is just a lovely watch you can enjoy and just put on if you just want to appreciate something that's just going to play with the light so well. And it'll go with so many different outfits, whatever you wear. You don't have to wear it as a dress watch. You can just wear this as something you can go casual with. As you see, I put this on something more casual strap. I went for a sort of bluey colour to go with the seconds hand. So very versatile. So yeah, I am really impressed. And yeah, get them while you can, but I'm sure you'll make more. If they run out, just remember that you're buying a watch that's been assembled by hand by one man, and that adds to the beautiful story of this watch. Very interesting. Really good. I've really looked at this close under the macro, and I've held it under bright light. I've looked under natural light. It really is as impressive as I'm making it sound, because I've seen enough watches over my time now to see what is good and what isn't. You know, how well something reflects the light, the neatness of the polishing. You really can see differences under closer scrutiny. And it's strange to feel compelled to scrutinize a watch like this so much, because that's the beauty of these really good value watches, is you think, surely they can't be as good as that for the money. But sometimes they can be. People rate the Fliegers very highly, hundreds of happy customers, because people keep coming back and buying more. And he sold hundreds of those. But these dress watches, not as popular. I'm hoping by sharing this example with you, and the one I've got coming along the way, which has got a Miyota 9000 series movement, and is a bit smaller, 38mm case size. I can't wait to see that, because this has laid the foundations of what you can get for such a small amount of money. And if you don't mind the quartz and anything like that, and you don't mind it being a 40 case size for a dress watch, I think it's acceptable. I think this is a real winner. So whatever's left in stock, I'm sure is going to be snapped up, because even though we're not going out much at the moment, guys, it's nice to have something just pretty like this in the collection to admire. And you can just wear it around the house, not worry about it, just admire it. And when you get a bit of a sunshine one day, you can go out for a walk and just enjoy how much it sparkles in the light. These little pleasures in life help get us through it all. So if you've enjoyed this video and it's helped you, look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye for now.